Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Hey Sister. Hey Sister, how are you?
Hey, sister, I see that my camera is already gonna act up. And I was doing fine at first, but here we go.
So, I recently upgraded the operating system on my Mac, and my whole computer been acting up. Okay, so let me tell y'all, updates are wonderful and great, but y'all be messing us up. Okay, with the updates. Anywho, we will press on and we shall proceed. We want y'all to like, follow, share, subscribe. We want you to join the conversation in the comments. We want you to go to the website on heysister.com. Okay, so we need to share this. Go ahead and share this with your friends and family. Let people know that you're watching us live. I'm trying to get to it, girl, so people know we on here today. Yeah, girl, listen. Last week we took a mental health break. I took a mental health break. What was happening last week? I can't remember. It's like the time is going by so fast. Things have been happening. The we people say life is life and honey, but the world has been whirling, honey. Sister,
Yes.
where shall we begin this evening?
Well, first I'm just trying to get this lighting and everything together. So bear with me for a second here, trying to enhance my appearance just a bit.
Girl, enhance
So
the appearance. Come on, enhancement.
Well, I mean, you see how different the camera is. Like, it's like I went from digital to analog. I don't understand. So last weekend, first of all, was our mommy's birthday. Shout out to our mom. Happy belated birthday. We did tell her happy birthday at during that
In
time,
real
but
life, yes,
in,
in real
in
life.
real life, in real time. So, but definitely happy belated birthday to her. And Friday was also a special holiday.
Hello, yes. I want to say happy birthday to you, to
To
you.
you.
I want to say happy birthday to you. What you do for your birthday, girl?
I did the business of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority incorporated. No, I wasn't. I did that. I did actually do that, but went down to Tucson, Arizona, and
Mhm.
had a wonderful time. Spending some time, just had some nice food and lovely dinner. In the presence of sorority sisters. Had a little live music event that we attended. So it was good. It was good. And you know, I know people are always talking about what did you do? What did you do? But let me tell you, I received some of the kindest text messages. And my aunt uncle, who, our aunt passed away a few weeks ago, and she would always send us cards, right? And so I have another aunt uncle who also to this day still send us birthday cards. And this particular card, it was just so lovely. It just made me say, okay, this is going to have to be sort of my mantra for the rest of the year because it was about joy and purpose and things of that. And it just felt like such confirmation. And then I had a bit of good news that I don't want to yet share, but I'm hoping
Mhm.
will come to fruition here in the next few months, and it will be game changing for me and some of the things that I've been embarking on. So I think it was a really good birthday. I was only kind of going into it as it's on the way to 50. I'm gonna do this 2 year trek to 50. But nah, I think 48 showed up and showed out. So, and it wasn't about doing anything. It was really about just, man, just when people give you your flowers and just tell you how much you mean to them, because we forget. Sometimes we forget who we
Mhm.
are, and it
Mhm.
was a blessing to be reminded. So,
Yes. Well, also on Friday, it was a day since you mentioned Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. It was indeed 32 years. 32 years since I became a member of our illustrious sisterhood.
Yes.
And as we were talking in the pre-show, how Chanel had to look at Jenna like, "Oh, what you talking about? Huh? What? Yeah, there are other organizations, but what? Like, huh?" Um, so shout out to all of my lovely line sisters as I get ready to embark on my 30th college reunion, homecoming. Xavier's homecoming is coming. Xavier's homecoming is coming. I'm actually gonna drop the link in there for y'all to go look and y'all come on to the Xavier homecoming. It's too late. Everything's sold out, girl. It's gonna be one for the record books. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing and fellowshipping with my beautiful sorority sisters, my friends, my classmates, and all the things at homecoming. But yes, 32 years. And to think back to that day, I remember that day. I remember where we were. I remember the whole thing. Where we had our final ceremony. That building does not even exist due to Katrina anymore. So just those things that are formulated in your brain and stuck there with you. Yes, I think back. So I'm looking forward to having the moment to to share soon. Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you, Miss Jody, for the belated birthday wish.
Yes. Okay, girl. Okay.
Hey, we jumping in. Let's jump in.
You want to jump in? Okay. Because I'm still playing double dutch over here.
I mean, if you want to start October 3rd, sentencing, we just had a sentencing.
Whew. Did he?
Did he? I guess we don't need to know that. We don't need to ask anymore. The people said he did. He did.
Did he? That's what you say. Did he? Now, I will admit something to you all. This past week, I removed all social media apps off of my phone.
Okay.
So that I would not be looking at them every day, so I would not be tied into it every day. I never had notifications on, but still, you get on and you look at different things every day. You kind of get into this habit. And so a lot of the things that I was reading or staying up to date on some things on, I have not done. I also have made a pretty good habit. Like I haven't watched replays of The View. I have not watched the regular news, I think, until this afternoon because the television was on after the basketball game. Yeah, I watch BBC News. So a lot of the current stuff, I've been off.
Right.
So what I do know is that he was sentenced. The sentence was 50 months, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, they just over 4 years is what they said.
Like a car note, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I was like, yeah, that's like a car note. You got to pay, you know.
Yes, you're right. 50 months. 50 months.
Now, most car notes now they're doing for 60 months, which is like 5 years, right? Like, you know, so them like it's less than that. And the harshest of the charges he was not convicted of.
Right.
And this is where we land. And it is what it is. We're going to talk something in a little bit more about justice or not justice or what have you. But what it does remind me of is that women are always on a very tightrope in this society. Our humanity, and don't let me add on being Black woman or a woman of color or any other, or say a woman of a lower socioeconomic status, or a woman of anything that will put you on the margins of society.
Mm-hmm.
But women, I mean, short of being killed, men can do any damn thing they want to you, and rarely do they suffer serious consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, even this, although he was not convicted of the most heinous parts of the charges, the little piece of abuse we saw, we know that it was a lot more. And we know she wasn't the only one. I mean, because logic, just if you just connect the logic would have you believe or understand. Now, again, a conviction does not mean innocent or guilt.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we also have to get to the point and understanding. In this society, a conviction does not say someone is innocent or they're guilty. A conviction says that the evidence put forth in front of a judge and or a jury meted out to this crime. But it doesn't say guilt or innocence. It really does not say guilt or innocence. So, and I can't speak to any of that, but I know that women lives and reputation and humanity is always in a perilous state in this country and probably around the world. So,
All right.
what say you?
Well, look, I do agree. I think that women and children and the elderly, they're always in a precarious situation, but particularly women. I was telling my friend Jessica earlier that I've listened to now Kerry Washington's memoir, Viola Davis's memoir, and Cicely Tyson's memoir. And in effect, like every one of these women has been a victim of some form of sexual assault. And it's almost and it almost has become, because in Viola Davis's memoir, she talks about her role and when she booked How to Get Away with Murder. And of course, Cicely Tyson played the role of her mother. And that Cicely Tyson is in effect the reason she became an actress, seeing this dark-skinned Black woman play and was in the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. That was sort of the catalyst, the point for her to say, I too can do that. But having one of their first interactions, I guess, on the show was this dialogue about, or this about sexual assault, basically. And that as Annalise Keaton and her mother had this conversation, knowing in real life that both of these women had their own experiences with this. And one of the things that Viola Davis talks about in her memoir is that, and then how the character, the Cicely Tyson's character as her mother, is like, we all went through it. Grandmother went through it, my mom went through, like we all went through it, right? Mm-hmm. And that sadly is the narrative for a lot of women in this mm-hmm. country. But if I'm going to be honest, there's also the narrative for a lot of young Black men in this country too. Mm-hmm. And I think that too often we don't call sexual crimes what they are. Mm-hmm. We have, young women who we have to be mindful of where our daughters spend the night, or whose house they go over to, or um, male relatives and things like that, because very often they are victimized at the hands of relatives.
Yeah.
But similarly, our young Black men also, many of them don't even recognize that, yeah, if your babysitter was touching on you inappropriately, or your first sexual experience was with somebody who was significantly older than you, that too is sexual assault. So at the end of the day, what I will say, I'm going to just speak on the facts real quick. He was found guilty. Sean Combs was found guilty on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. He was sentenced, he faced a maximum of 20 years in prison. And his federal prosecutors wanted more than 11 years, as well as a $500,000 fine. The defense sought for him to do no more than 14 months in prison, and I'm sure they wanted some time served, right? So ultimately, he was sentenced to the 50 months that you mentioned, and also the $500,000 fine was imposed, and he's ordered 5 years of supervised release once he leaves prison. So at the end of the day, I do believe there are some things that, I don't know, Mr. Combs, some demons that he needs to come to terms with as well. So
we have a comment here. Said he really thought he was going home. It is sad he had booked engagement. It is said. It is said. It is said, and it's sad because they tried to play it off.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I know he has a lot of money, but this has cost him a lot of money. So I guess he is trying to book some engagements. And we'll see. And listen, we have people, all the celebrities who have left the country, and they are laying real low. And
and we have some who run for higher office.
Yes, I was just about to say that. But the Epstein files still ain't came out. So hey, there's that. But again, to anyone who is a victim of sexual assault, and we pray for your
sexual assault, domestic partner violence,
right.
any type of assault on your humanity, physical, mental, emotional assault. I pray for you.
Yeah. Pray and pray that in all situations you find the strength to get out. And there are always going to be people say, well, why did you stay so long? Especially in a dynamic like this, right? We saw it, we heard it. If he was doing all these things to her, well, why did she stay? Or she only stayed, talking about Cassie Ventura, she only stayed because, of the money and all of these things. We're going to talk about a little bit of mental health as well, but people's mental health and wellness is a precarious thing too. And so why do people choose to stay? We don't know, but they do for various reasons. And let's face it, like you said, domestic partner violence. Well, for example, when a woman is pregnant, one of the highest reasons for her to possibly die is not a complication due to pregnancy. It's partner violence, or being killed by her partner.
Well, I'm going to read this. I love Dr. Shantae Says. So she is on Instagram and all the social media platforms, but she posted something, and I'm going to read this because I thought this was very profound.
Okay.
Because I had to get back on social on Instagram because it is homecoming. Y'all, it's homecoming. They working me. This class is working me.
Let's focus.
But it says, for any American who feels stuck here and would love nothing more than to seek residency in another country, but can't due to finances, lack of resources, family, support, poor health, etc., Please keep this in mind the next time someone asks why a woman didn't just leave her abuser.
Okay. Well, there you have it.
Why they didn't leave in the storm? Why they didn't leave for this? You don't know people's situation and circumstances. I'm gonna just leave it right there. I thought that was very profound.
That it was very, very. All right.
All right. So you, my sister, vindication. And did I spell it right? But not justice.
Yes, vindication, but not justice. So, as everybody here possibly knows who listens to us, we're from Southern Louisiana. We're from small town Thibodaux, Louisiana, and of course, one of the bigger headlines coming out of our hometown was, unfortunately, back in April, young man Kyron Lacy committed suicide after when he was the day before he was expected to go in front of a grand jury for what we have since learned, as of this past weekend, a crime that he clearly did not commit. The accusation was that he caused an accident that took the life of a veteran, Mr. Hall. I can't remember his first name. And ultimately, his lawyer committed to clearing his Kyron Lacy's name. And that's what he did. And he presented a plethora of what one would call, I would say, indisputable facts and evidence that not only did he not cause the accident, he was some 70 plus yards away from the accident. Yards, feet, I can't remember the number. I'm sorry. But he was a significant distance from the accident when it occurred. The young woman who we now know did in fact cause the accident, indicated that she had some Funyuns in her lap and she was, I guess, eating her Funyuns or what have you, which very likely indicates that she was distracted. The added part is that the state trooper,
back in January, when this was released and came out, it was January, right? When all of this was released and came out, and it was like they had a warrant out for his arrest, and they splashed, they went by, as you said, all means to splash his name all over. Why hasn't he turned himself in? This, that, the other. It's a whole lot.
Yes. And at the time, I remember feeling like, dang, I wish he would have just stayed. Because it felt like people jumped immediately to the conclusion that he caused this without knowing the circumstances around the accident, but also because we're from the area, knowing what that road is. Like, this is like a 2-lane highway that is extremely busy.
It is a 2-lane road through the swamp. Literally through the swamp.
And it's extremely busy. And it's
very narrow
turns, and people all across this country had things to say about it without even knowing any of the circumstances. And so I remember thinking, dang, I wish he had just stayed. But now, after seeing this video, I'm like, I wouldn't have stayed either. And the commentary was, he failed to render help.
Yes, to render aid.
He left the scene and failed to render help. He had no reason to render help. He wasn't involved in the accident. There was another vehicle between his and the vehicles that had collided. And there was rationally, there would have been no reason for him to stay on the scene. In fact, one would think that he probably would have impeded the process of help being rendered to the gentleman who ultimately succumbed. So, and then, like I said, there's a state trooper who is heard just, I mean, coaching a witness as to emphasize that he had to slam on brakes to swerve to avoid the Charger, and the Charger was nowhere nearby. So the reason I just wanted to talk about this is because, again, it very much reminded me of George Floyd, that for years, if I think about in modern time, the first sort of time we started having some of these modern protests about police brutality, it was for Trayvon Martin. Even though George Zimmerman was not a police officer, he felt deputized, right? And so that's when we started having sort of these different protests. And of course, we know he was found, as you said, not guilty, and that doesn't mean it's actual innocence, right? But I remember that being the start of things, and we were constantly saying these things are happening to us, and it was as if people were like, no, they're not. Police don't do that. Because if I'm a white male and I've never had an encounter with a police like that, why would police do those kind of things to you? And then it wasn't until George Floyd's life was snuffed out on video by a police officer who had him pinned to the ground, and he was begging for mercy and begging for his life, that people actually believed. And then some of them still just believe, oh, that was a one-off, right? And I say that because now, with this video coming out, obviously and very sadly, like I said, vindication but not justice. There is no justice for Kyron Lacy. There is no justice for his family, because sadly he is not here anymore. And I am certain that if anybody could go back in time, his family would want to go back in time and avoid this whole situation. So there is no justice for him, but my prayer is that, because people now know that, yes, there are dirty police officers. Yes, some people commit to a story, and even when they know it's a lie, they've committed and they won't back down from it. And yes, there are internet trolls and bullies, and people get on the internet and say any and everything they want to behind the safety of these keyboards, because they know they wouldn't say it in your face. And yes, the media, the local news media, should be held accountable as well. Because there's never, even when some of them, they couldn't even find, the local media couldn't even find the words to say, this young man had nothing to do with that accident. So they don't come back and give a retraction. They don't come back after they've destroyed somebody's life. They don't come back and say, you know what, we got it wrong.
And I'm not going to, I'm gonna bring this up as an analogy, because we talked about it, you and I privately. We haven't talked about it here yet, but the Netflix doc on Jussie Smollett
Talk about that too here today.
Is a good example of when. So law enforcement, we have this ideal about what law enforcement is and who they are.
Right.
But when humans have a bias, and if you fix your mind to a certain story or narrative, you will go to many different lengths to convince yourself that it's true. And so what it does also tell me is that journalism, local journalism, investigative journalism, because his attorney basically had to do the investigation, right? Is the investigation piece, is the skepticism and the curiosity piece that does not exist anymore, because nobody should have ran with that story the way they ran with it. just off of a police report.
Correct.
Period, point blank.
Correct. So that's the bottom line for me, and I'm sure you can agree, is that this is a sad situation all around.
Yes.
And as we talked about earlier today in our Sunday school class, again, sadly, there is nothing that can be done for this young man, because he is no longer on this side. So it is vindication, but it's not justice. But my prayer is, because we know it can happen to a Kyron Lacy, because we know that there are, again, police officers that lie, because we know that the media takes a narrative and they like to take the most salacious narratives and run with them for clicks and for likes and for attention, because some people are low down, dirty, and evil, and they like the very people that they built up. They like to try to push them down, because they only want you to get so big. And when you get too big, are you doing too much for them, they like to tear you down. So I pray that this at least opens people's eyes to the fact that these kind of things happen. And so I don't want another child or another young man or another young woman to leave this earth feeling like nobody believed me and I was telling the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think also what we have to acknowledge, as I just said, I took the apps off my phone.
Yes.
So I only can come to it when I get into this computer.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, homecoming coming up, I'm doing some stuff. So I added Instagram back, but everything else is off the phone. So I only can come to it if I'm logging in and getting on here. So I logged in today and I had bukus of notifications. That while as we said, media, everybody wants to be an influencer.
Mm-hmm.
This whole system in society, whether in people who are journalism or social media journalists or whatever, doing things for clicks, likes, and what have you. So everybody's trying to rush to get to be the first to say something or whatever. Everybody got something to say about something. There are real life consequences and mental health struggles associated with our addiction to these social media platforms. And we have to help ourselves. We have to help our children. We have to reframe some things.
Mm-hmm.
Because we are faced with a huge mental fitness challenge. So we talk about physical fitness challenge and people not consistent with their physical fitness. But if you ain't never attended to your mental fitness, it's even worse off.
Right.
And so there's these seen and unseen pressures that young men like Kyron are facing. And my hope and my prayer is that we all do a better job and heed the call to wrap our arms around them, to care for them, and to engage in real life. And not through these devices, because these little quick dopamine hits, because like you said, baby, the dopamine hits, whatever. But when as much as they pick you up, they will tear you down because they're empty and they're hollow.
Yeah, and I will also say that, look, we're here, we're talking to each other, we talk about hot topics, but we don't purport to be journalists. And I think that, one thing that you said long time ago is anytime somebody has their name on something, like back in the day, Bill O'Reilly, you have Bill Maher, you have all the Bills apparently have have a show. Rush Limbaugh, whomever it is, if a person's name is on the show, then it's their opinion.
Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, you keep going on and on and on.
And so in their opinion, so there's your opinion, my opinion, and then there's facts. And I always feel like we need to level set on the facts that are indisputable. And then after that, we can have a conversation about how you see the world, how I see the world. But there's got to be some baseline facts that is just, they're indisputable. And so that's the thing about
the facts are not instantaneous. And that's the thing. Right. That is the big thing, is this need for instantaneous gratification, that need for that instant like or that instant whatever spike. And the facts often are not immediately known.
And shall I add, and data by which you derive your facts, data can be manipulated, right?
Absolutely.
So it's also important to understand the context of a thing, right? And so all that being said, like, we are giving our opinion about a situation, but we always drop in news sources as well, because we expect for you to go look it up for yourself. Don't believe us, go look it up for yourself, read about it, and figure out for yourself, does this make sense? Does this not make sense? Somebody lying, or somebody is not being completely forthright. So again, it's a sad situation all around. But it's not the first, and it won't sadly be the last that somebody has been railroaded into, people believing something that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Period, point blank. So next time, let's not be so quick to rush to judgment, because a lot of folks, had a lot to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
But can you talk about Jussie a little bit too, though? Because we did not talk about Jussie. Did we talk about Jussie?
We did not. Did y'all watch Jussie? Did y'all watch the thing about Jussie?
I don't even know what the real name of it is.
Girl,
it's Jussie.
I'm sorry, we didn't listen. What is it called? Let me find it. I'm looking it up. The Truth About Jussie Smollett is on Netflix. If you haven't watched it, I encourage you to watch it, because I will tell you this: it will most definitely make you go think, in the words of my boy, things that make you go, because there was a lot of questionable things. There were witnesses who were not ever heard from. Right? There were so many inconsistencies. And, and the one thing Jussie has done is he has always maintained his innocence on this. And then again, he was convicted, but he also was the Illinois Supreme Court.
The state Supreme Court.
The Illinois Supreme Court overturned that conviction, and I don't think we heard nothing about it being overturned.
Again, so the media scandalized, criminalized, called him everything but the child of God. We saw that news story on every single platform over and over and over again. And it wasn't until I watched this documentary I was like, wait, they overturned his conviction.
They
It wasn't until I watched the documentary, we talking about police officers. It wasn't until this that wait, you mean the lead, the chief of police, or I think he was chief of police. Yeah, chief of the Chicago Police Department. Wait a minute. He was supposed to retire. He was set to retire, and then he was found asleep in his squad car, and he claimed that he had a medical emergency, and then the truth was that he had been drinking on the job. I heard nothing about that. And I'm sure they probably heard about it in Chicago, but we heard nothing about that. And this man still talking like Jussie Smollett was a problem. Sir, you are too.
Sir, you were chief during the Laquan McDonald murder by police officers.
Correct.
Period, point blank.
Period, point blank. And so and when you think about that and the timing of all of this, you're like, wow. And the question becomes, can people do these things? Do people do these things? Absolutely. They create these stories and these narratives because in this case, the Chicago Police Department was already had a spotlight on them from the Laquan McDonald murder. And now this thing had happened. And I remember, and I'm going to be honest, like probably everybody else, I was like, it was a polar vortex. He went out in the cold at 2:00 in the morning to get a Subway sandwich. We all
was like,
many of us was like, I ain't never wanted a Subway sandwich that bad. I don't even like how Subways smell, to be honest. I'm so sorry. No offense to that company, but that's my personal opinion. So we were all like, come to find out, it was 4 other folks up in that mug too.
It was a whole video, which we never saw, of him in line at the Subway with the other people. Like, I didn't know Subway was open that late, but there were people.
Right. This was a 24-hour Subway. Didn't know. So yeah, we so we would encourage you to watch that and draw your own conclusions. Because what I do love about that as a documentarian is that they let you draw your own conclusion.
Let you draw your own conclusion. Yeah, they let you draw your own conclusion. So,
but some folks owe Jussie an apology too. I ain't saying that the story is not strange. I ain't saying that, again, I've never had the desire for a Subway sandwich at that time of the morning, but it certainly does beg to question.
But you have traveled and got in late and was hungry and tried to get the nearest thing.
Correct.
And would have grabbed whatever that nearest thing was because everything else around you was shut down. We have had that experience.
Yes. And also it begs to question. You said Mr. Donald Naylor, a friend of the show, has once said the truth does not mind inquiry. And it begs to question, if all these people be telling the truth, why, when the police officer sent over video of the lobby where there was a witness who said there was a white man outside who was questionable, why y'all took out 10 seconds of the video? And 10 seconds in video format
is a long time.
Is a long time. So why y'all took that out?
Mm-hmm.
So don't believe everything that the people say on the TV screen or on these social medias.
So in the words of Kendrick Lamar, turn the TV off. Turn that TV off. Turn the TV off. Turn the TV off. Turn the TV off.
Yeah.
Ooh, shut down. Shut it up, honey. So essentially, our federal government has shut down. Now, I think it is peak gaslighting when you have control of the executive branch and the congressional branch, and even someone said the judicial branch with the Supreme Court.
Let's say legislative, not let's don't say congressional,
Legislative branch. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. So House and Senate, I want to get.
Yes.
You actually got all of them branches that are in your party's control.
Yes.
And number one, you have the audacity to blame the Democratic Party. So that part on me, that audacity is hilarious to me. When you control the House, the Senate, and the White House, and some would say the Supreme Court. So that on its face is like, for real though. But then you talking about them shutting down the government because you're trying to pass another continuing resolution, because the truth is your ass ain't been doing your job all year and ain't passed the budget, because you on this continuing resolutions because the Democrats bailed y'all asses out in for a couple months ago.
Right.
They bailed you out a couple months ago, and Chuck Schumer got his ass handed to him by the, I don't like all these labels. That's why you're going to see me do all these air quotes. The far left in his party. He got his ass handed to him by people in his party because he was trying to say we need to keep the government. Oh, he did that once already this year, and y'all did not keep y'all agreement and negotiate in good faith. And now you're going to blame him? When the truth is, you don't even have the votes within your own party to pass a whole damn budget. Because the truth is, why are we operating without a federal budget, period, and keep going from continuing resolution to continuing resolution to continuing resolution? That is what the real problem is. So don't believe this about, oh, they want to give health care to illegal immigrants, or the Democrats want to shut the because they don't care about working. All of that is BS. All of that is distraction. All of that is noise. That is the shut it up part. Because what the truth and what the facts show is that we have not operated with a federal budget in quite some time. You have been in control of the House for quite some time, and you still ain't doing your job. You passing legislation because ultimately you've already gutted so many of these federal services when like 40% of the United States children are on either Medicaid or some type of child health insurance program, and y'all gutted them. We got, because of those cuts, a lot of rural hospitals are facing budget shortfalls. A lot of urban hospitals are facing budget shortfalls because they are predicting and because they actually have to do a budget. So they're modeling out based on what your cuts, what is going to happen in the healthcare system. But no, you don't want to address that. You just want to say, well, it's the Democrats' fault, and because they're woke and we want these woke policies and we're just going to shrink the government. Everybody wants to shrink the government till they need the government. And then we have all of this BS of wasted resources. Wasted resources by, oh, we're going to deploy the National Guard here. First of all, you federalizing state National Guards when the state National Guard is run by their governor, their executive. Okay.
And that's what y'all claim all this is about, is states' rights, right? Shouldn't the state have the right to do with their resources what they want to do with them? So I don't understand.
And then you got your governor over there. It's like, bruh, in Louisiana, you don't need the president to activate the Louisiana National Guard if you want to do something about crime, or if you want to deploy the U.S. National Guard. You don't need the president to do that. That's all for show. So shut it up. Stop falling for the show and the okie doke. But know this for sure: real life, real people are being impacted.
Yeah.
Real life, real people are being impacted in their income and their ability to maintain, pay their mortgages, to pay their rent, to pay their bills, to continue to pay groceries, because we got these asinine tariffs still that has everything going up. So when people talk about, oh, all the farmers crying, you're gonna help the farmers out with what? With what? With what? You okay? I'm done.
Well, here are a few things that I want to say really quickly. Number one, so yes, your governor in Louisiana very likely does need the president's approval to use the National Guard for crime fighting, because they were never designed for crime fighting. When the National Guard is deployed, it's usually in times of a national, a local state disaster or something like that.
It could be a state disaster. It can be to for other, if they were going to like if they needed to go build a school somewhere. Hell, we need schools built.
Well, yes, but I'm saying the fact of the matter is the way this president is using the National Guard, in many ways it's illegal.
Absolutely.
And so that's part of the reason why people, they doing this little dance, but they trying to do this dance very carefully, because they don't want it to come back on them to say, yeah, you mobilize the National Guard in your own backyard against your own people. Because again, that is illegal. You're not supposed to be using your own troops against U.S. citizens. So that's one thing. The second thing I wanted to say is I'm in this leadership group, and we had an assignment, and part of the assignment is talking about life expectancy. So they gave us a link to the CDC's website for life expectancy data. And this is, I can't make this up, so you all can, you can go check it out. So I go to this site. So at the top, so let me say it differently. Pre-government shutdown, the top of the website, there's a banner that says, this web page is archived for historical purposes and is no longer being updated. Please go to CDC Home or use the A to Z index or search for more recent information. And it tells you that the CDC website has been archived. And we know that a bunch of federally funded websites had been either scrubbed, things have been pulled down, or they're no longer being actively updated. So since the shutdown, here's the added banner that's been put on there. The Trump administration is working to reopen the government for the American people. Mission critical activities of CDC will continue during the Democrat-led government shutdown. Mm-hmm. Certain federal government activities have ceased due to a lack of appropriated funding. During the government shutdown, only websites supporting accepted functions will be updated. As a result, the information on this website may not be up to date, and the agency may not be able to respond to inquiries. Here's the thing. The website had already not been up to date. Mm-hmm. But then you want to add this Democrat-led shutdown. Mm-hmm. It's the propaganda. Mm-hmm. It is how this administration is using the media. And we've seen this before. We keep talking about it. The media,
the news media, the social media, the print media, how they've acquired, again, as you said, the use of the media by, again, who all was over there when they went to see the King of England? What companies they own? Who all was there to bend the knee?
Right. And so to know that I don't know how else. I don't know what else we need to see, but this is precisely what happens in communist countries. This is precisely what happens in fascist regimes. You utilize the media in order to further your propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know when we're going to stop allowing this to happen, but I hope we stop allowing this to happen sooner rather than later. Midterm elections are coming up. The last thing I'll say, like you said, real people, real families are behind this. I was talking to one of my friends, and so, well, two friends. One, I asked, hey, are you impacted? She said, yes. This is the first time in my life. Now, we've been out of college now for 25 years. This is my first time in my life where my job has been impacted by decisions being made by Congress, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so she's just praying for a short shutdown. So that was one I talked to her. My other friend, I talked to him. I'm like, hey, you impacted by the government shutdown? He's like, yeah. We come to work, but we don't get paid. Right. And I was like, wait a minute. In my mind, child, you tell me we ain't getting no money. I'm thinking I'm at the crib because I got other stuff I could be doing. I said, wait, you got to go to work and you just don't get a paycheck? It's like, yeah. He's like, because we've been, labeled. And this is how they get you, the label of essential.
Essential.
And if you're labeled as an essential employee, yes, I have to go to work. I'm just not getting a check. Do y'all understand how? I don't, baby, nothing would be getting done. Honey, listen.
But the last time this happened, and I wonder, I'm going to drop this stat in here, but the last time this happened, the longer it went on, there was a sick out with the TSA. Mm-hmm. There was a sick out with the FAA, where people like, I ain't gonna do that, but so much.
Right.
I carry my ass to work and not be paid.
Correct. Okay. So I certainly, again, it is time. I don't know what we got to do, but we got to do something. We got to do something. So,
and I just dropped this whole long thing in here, and I'm gonna drop the source as well. But I want to be clear for people to really understand that 49% of the children in this country are enrolled in Medicaid or a CHIP program. And the CHIP program, CHIP started under George W. Bush. The CHIP program is basically
health insurance, right?
It's a child health insurance program, but basically it's Medicaid dollars from the federal government that goes down to the state. And then the state they manage the program. But look at that in Louisiana.
Child, I don't understand.
Look at the high proportion of the coverage. Okay. And
63%.
So this is the other thing that I want people to wake up to. Because I'm about to say another word. I want you to shut it up, and wake up to the fact that the majority of people in these United States are working poor people. Well, the majority of people in these United States are working poor people.
And this is 49% is nearly half. And this says in 26 states, at least half of the children are enrolled in Medicaid CHIP. But, I don't know.
They're working poor.
I'm still convinced that, like somebody said it before, you have allowed billionaires to convince thousandaires that hundredaires are the problem. That's all I got. That's all I got about that.
We are allowing billionaires and the billionaire class because of the desire to want to be amongst them to fight against one another and allow our systems and our government and our schools and our school boards and our laws at the local, state, and federal level all to be out of whack and inconsistent with what the majority of the people desire. because we're not paying attention to the full story. And we've been talking about this a lot. We getting the headline and the soundbite and we running with it without doing just pull back one layer, baby. That whole story is going to fall apart. Right. So it is the height of gaslighting. It is the height of audacity to control all branches of government and then try to blame the other party for you not doing your job. And that is what's going on. They have not done their job. They didn't do their job well his first term.
Right.
And he's not doing a good job now. But this time around, businesses and corporations and billionaires have bent the knee because they don't want the heat, or they don't have the gall to stand up. And this is how democracies fail. So we, the people, still will have to stand up. We, the people, still will have to do what is right. It's going to be up to we, the people.
Right.
Because if we, the people, don't do it, it will continue to get worse. And I just always think, Lord, my elder generation, they living through this shit again. So we better get our stuff together.
Yep.
So, child. Anyway, well, girl, we have met the hour. But
I do want to say a few things real quick. Mike Johnson, Speaker Mike Johnson, swear in Adelita Grijalva. I believe I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Type it in the comments, girl.
Okay, I will drop this in the comments. He said he would swear her in, I guess, this coming week.
Girl, they are off until the 14th.
Right.
They off until the 14th. So they have no intentions of opening this government back up or doing anything. Okay.
Right. And so just a little backstory. She recently won a special election in the state of Arizona. She replaced her father who passed away, and she won by a landslide. And now she is waiting to be sworn in and Mike Johnson doesn't want to swear her in because the fear is that they'll get enough votes. Once she's sworn in, they'll get enough votes to act on those Epstein files that they want to release everybody else's files, but don't want to release those. And so swear her in. Stop wasting our time and our money.
And here's the thing.
Hold on one second. This representation or this taxation without representation is not fair. Mm-hmm. Y'all done it in Houston, Texas, and now you're doing it in Southern Arizona, and it's not cool and it's not fair. These people have paid their taxes. They voted for who they wanted to be in office. Swear these folks in, get these people in office, and allow them to do their job for their constituents.
And it's not unprecedented for someone to be sworn in when the House is not in session. Right. So all of his hemming and hawing is, again, BS and posturing and the height of audacity.
And hypocrisy. And the height of hypocrisy.
And he can do it because folks ain't calling in the morning. So, anywho, shout out to Benito Bad Bunny, who's gonna be the Super Bowl performer. I don't know no Spanish, but he said on SNL, I got 4 months to learn. I'm gonna try to learn me a little something so I can do it with them. But I will say this. once they made that announcement, I went on the Apple Music and I, clicked on the, about the announcement of him, and then it had all like the last Super Bowl performances, and I just sat and started watching them, and it, that's something that brought me joy this past week. I watched Kendrick, and then from Kendrick it went to Usher, and then from Usher it went to Rihanna, and I was like, yeah, this brought me joy. So I'm looking forward to
well, I tell you one thing, you said shout out to Bad Bunny. I'm gonna say shout out to everybody who knows that Puerto Rico is a part of the United States. Hello.
Who knows geography and world history and all of that? Girl, but clearly many do not. But with that being said, we are signing off. Thank y'all for tuning in for tonight.